Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing very well. It's late July 2025 and we've now had added in our final air-to-ground mode of the radar, TA, Terrain Avoidance. Note, this is an indicative system only that warns you of terrain altitude in front of you. It does not follow the terrain like, for instance, the terrain following radar in the F-18E. TA radar mode is extremely simple in the Hornet, so we'll just get started. Unlock that, unpause, let's get barometric altitude, hold on, level ourselves out. Right, so from one of our main menus, of course, we're going to find the attack radar. From there, we're going to go to surface mode, which defaults, of course, to map mode. Then you can have ground moving target mode. You could have C mode, and finally now we have terrain avoidance mode. As I said, it could not be simpler. You get three colours rendered on our display here: light green, dark green and black. If I just pause there, light green is any terrain equal to or above our current aircraft altitude. So that little bit there, which if we look off to the left, is probably that peak there. Obviously, if we were to keep going into that direction, we would hit that bit of terrain. Dark green is anything from our current altitude down to 500 feet below us. So at our current altitude, we would not strike the terrain. That is dark green. And finally, black is either any piece of terrain below 500 feet lower than our current altitude, or radar shadow. I'm just looking for an example of that. Let's just speed up a little bit. You can see that peak there. Directly behind that peak there, which I'm guessing is that guy there, there is black. That probably doesn't actually mean it's below 500 feet lower than that aircraft. It probably actually means that that piece of terrain is shadowed by that peak. So just need to bear that in mind. In terms of the display, the azimuth is a total coverage of 70 degrees. In terms of range, we can either be from 0 here up to 10 miles there, or up to 5 nautical miles there, and there is a minimum range on the display of 1.6 nautical miles. In terms of these static wedges here, they're purely there to help you configure your display in terms of brightness and contrast, because in the real aircraft you're constantly blinded by light and sun and you're constantly messing with your brightness and your contrast. Obviously not so much a problem in game. And probably the final thing to note is that the way the radar is aligned is dynamic in terms of if we descend. So currently we're going straight and the altitude is being aligned to our current altitude, but if I were to remove altitude hold and watch my velocity vector here, that's where I'm actually going towards, and I were to put myself down and watch the radar update, you can see all of a sudden the world has become very dangerous in front of us. And that's not because we've descended far, because we haven't. We've only descended 10 feet or so. But it's because the radar knows that we're diving. And so the radar now aligns itself to our velocity vector here. So it's pointing down the direction that we're traveling. And that's so that we can essentially look ahead of our current vector of descent. If we were to level out again, although our altitude hasn't changed, you'll see all of a sudden the world is a much safer place, and that's because the radar is aligning itself again with the horizon. And that's pretty much it. It's a really useful radar mode, obviously for use at night or low visibility conditions. And that's all I've got to say. I hope that was useful, and bye bye.